Highway 20 runs the length of the Empire State, through green valleys and college towns. One fall afternoon, a woman walks along the side of the highway with her thumb out. Regina Reynolds is all of 19, looking for a ride to the campus of Morrisville State College. Around 5 p.m., a set of wheels grinds to a stop and picks her up. Reynolds, however, will never make it to the campus. Four days later, her roommates called police. Investigator Gene Reifenberg talks to the missing girl's friends, who claim Regina was looking forward to a dinner date with friends. 4 days turn into a week, and still no sign of Regina Reynolds. State investigators are beginning to think murder, and they take a hard look at the usual suspects. All MacDonald can figure is that Regina Reynolds somehow crossed paths with evil somewhere along Highway 20. 2 weeks after Reynolds first vanished, those fears are realized. Atisco Lake is 50 miles west of this stretch of road where Regina Reynolds went missing. On a cold November morning, a fisherman is crossing a field toward the water when he finds a naked body in the weeds.
You could tell at that particular time you're looking for a very serious killer, just by the way he threw the body away. And he did throw it away, just like he would a roadkill. Tossed it over, made no attempt to cover her up or anything.
The woman is identified as Regina Reynolds, killed by a single stab wound to the heart with a large double-bladed knife. Semen is recovered from her body and preserved on a glass slide. The semen is saved for future testing, and state police continue to work the scene for evidence. Most of the investigators focus their efforts around the body. Investigator Ray Salvi, however, walks to the top of the nearest hill, the point from which the killer most likely threw the body. And there in the weeds, something catches his eye.
When I looked down at the scene there, I saw this plastic container, which was similar to what a businessman would carry business cards in.
Salvi opens the container and finds several business cards.
The name on the card was Donald Sigsbee, and it had Model Display Company.
According to the card, Donald Sigsbee works in Oneida, New York, a city that is 60 miles east of the crime scene. More importantly, Oneida is just a few miles down the road from the spot where Reynolds disappeared. Investigator Gene Reifenberg is told to take a drive out to Oneida and see if he can track down Sigsbee. Reifenberg starts his hunt for Donald Sigsbee at his carpentry shop. Sigsbee, however, is not there. With night rolling in, Reifenberg decides to take a drive by Sigsbee's home.
Checked by his house, his vehicle wasn't there, so we set up a surveillance post near Route 20 and 26 and waited, and after a while, he came along.
Reifenberg pulled Sigsbee to the side of the road. The suspect is driving a dark blue van. Reifenberg flashes a light inside.
I remember shining in the back of his van, and I could see what appeared to be blood in the back of the van. So naturally, you know, the wheels are turning, and you're going, wow, we obviously got something here.
Sigsbee is escorted to the state police barracks and asked how his business cards found their way to the scene of a murder. Sigsbee says he has no idea. Detectives then cut to the chase and ask if he killed Regina Reynolds.
Denied it, didn't know anything about it, didn't know her, never picked up hitchhikers.
Sigsbee tells detectives he's a carpenter. The night Reynolds disappeared, Sigsbee claims he was working alone in his shop. As for the blood in the van, Sigsbee claims he is a hunter, and it came from a deer. The state crime lab confirms this fact, and Donald Sigsbee is released from custody. New York State Police investigators might have lost round one, but they are far from through with Donald Sigsbee. That night, they draw up an application for a search warrant. the next morning, investigator Reifenberg conducts a search in Donald Sigsbee's office. He is drawn to an address file, bereft of addresses, save one.
They were searching in his office. He had a file, an index file. There's only one name in that whole index file. That was Martha Allen.
Martha Allen, a name that's familiar to many a local detective.
Martha Allen was a person whose body was found near Sylvan Beach in a swampy area, so badly decomposed we couldn't ascertain how she died.
Sigsbee calmly explains she was a customer.
That was his answer to that. And you said, you know, she's murdered too. And he just said, no kidding. And that was his response. He never asked one question about murdered how or where or anything else. Just no kidding.
The case eventually goes cold. Regina Reynolds' life reduced to a stack of reports, boxed up and put in storage alongside the paperwork on Martha Allen. There, the two cases remain for more than 2 decades. By 1999, a new generation of detectives is on the job at Troop D in Oneida, New York. One of them is David Cross, an investigator who spends his spare time working old homicides. Among the files Cross happens across, the murder of Regina Reynolds.
The evidence was all here. It was right here at Troop D headquarters in our long-term storage area. And I went through each individual item, and I was at that point specifically looking for anything that might yield some DNA evidence that we could possibly match to a suspect.
DNA analyst Russ Gettig has worked many a cold case and developed DNA from the oldest, most degraded evidence. When he puts the Reynolds slide under a microscope, however, Gettig is far from encouraged.
In this case, because it was from a microscope slide, there was a very low amount of material on there to begin with. So we essentially had to take almost all of it in order to do our extraction.
A single shot is all Russ Gettig needs, as the lab is able to extract a genetic profile from the sample. Cold case investigator Mike Grandy gets the call.
It was a big moment, and of course, when it arrived, and actually when we got the phone call, we were thinking Donald Sigsbee.
Donald Sigsbee is a local carpenter whose business cards were found at the crime scene. Cold case detectives have long considered him their chief suspect in the case, but have no probable cause to obtain a sample of his DNA. Instead, they watch and wait for Sigsbee to drop a cigarette butt, coffee cup, or anything else that might contain his genetic signature. For 2 days, Mike Grandy follows Sigsbee along lonely country roads, but the suspect throws away nothing that could contain his DNA. On the 3rd day, Sigsbee and his wife go out for a hamburger. The detective is there undercover as he hears Sigsbee order a root beer. 45 minutes later, Detective Grandy follows Sigsbee to the restaurant's trash can. Grandy pulls out the root beer cup and straw, bags the items, and sends them to DNA analyst Russ Gettig, who isolates human cells on the straw and extracts a DNA profile. That profile is compared to semen from the Reynolds crime scene and determined to be a match.
Probably the best moment I've had on this job. 23 years, almost 24 years. That was the best feeling I had on this job, without a doubt.
2 weeks later, Grandy stops by Sigsbee's house with a lab report in his back pocket and a casual, even bored demeanor.
We didn't want to get him thinking that he was in any trouble, just it was a routine thing, so that he would, be willing to give us a statement, or at least talk to us.
At his kitchen table, Donald Sigsbee signs a statement saying he did not know Regina Reynolds and never had sex with her. The detective leaves, with Donald Sigsbee right beside him in cuffs. The suspect is taken to county jail and charged with the murder of Regina Reynolds. The case goes to a jury on March 26th after less than a day of deliberation. 12 men and women return a verdict.
What is the jury's verdict as to the first count, murder in the second degree?
Guilty.
The guilty verdict appears to come as a shock to Sigsbee. His sentence, 25 years to life. Essentially, a life sentence for the 68-year-old. Donald Sigsbee is packed off to a prison cell to live out his days.